Hello everyone. Today I have two very bright faces in front of me. Both of them have scored 183 and 186 All India ranks in CLAT respectively. Despite the ranks being so close, let us know from them what was their score. Diya, what was your score?
So I scored 97.25.
And what about Rajvini?
I scored the same.
But then how are the ranks different?
I think
Legal.
there'll be two things. One will be legal, and then secondly, I'm 16, so there's the age thing as well.
Yeah.
Right. So, this time people say that the paper was very easy, GK was very easy. But you know what? When the paper is easy, cutoffs are so high that, even 0.25 marks in the paper can make a lot of difference. Do you both agree to this fact?
Yeah, I mean, both
Yeah,
of us are
definitely.
at the same score. So,
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I would like to understand from each one of you as to, let's begin with Diya and then Rajvini follows, as to how many months of prep did you both individually did?
uh,
And also, what sources did you refer, especially in order to prepare a versatile section like GK? Very quickly, both.
right. So I started the LSC program from Career Launcher around 1.5 years ago, and I consistently gave mocks, which gave me an idea of just the highs and lows of GK, just how tough and how easy it can be, which I think really prepared me for the worst case scenario. And GK is, as you said, so versatile. It's really difficult to cover. But newspapers and as well as Newscanvass, they both have to provide a lot of clarity as well as
Right.
improve my reading skills and kind of make me more equipped to handle reading sections as well. Because it's a lot of reading. So that automatically makes you so much more faster and more efficient at the work that you do.
Right. What about you, Rajvini?
Yeah, I was on the 2-year program, so I mean, right from the beginning, I've been attending classes and mocks. But as she said, I think newspapers are really integral. Not so much for the fact, I don't think there's a lot of factual information that you'll gain from it, but to see the series of events as it unfolds, I think it's very important to have, how it's currently going. As well as that, I mean, I've been going through manthans, the weekly manthans, daily updates on aspiration, as well as News Canvas has been a huge help because there's just so much information that it has to be sort of, it has to be put into one comprehensive document that you can just sort of go through and get an idea. So I think that was something that was really helpful. So yeah, I think for GK, that was all I covered.
And how was your calm and composure at the time, at the day, Rajvini, of the actual exam?
Should I go first or Diya?
Yeah. Rajvini, the question directly to you.
Oh, okay, all right. So I think on the day, it was I think it's really helpful that they make us just sit around like 1:15. So it's good to just sit there and kind of get an idea of what room you're in, what kind of people you're in, because a lot of the things like there'll be like rustling of the trees, or I think like there'll be trains or something that can really affect you at that moment that you wouldn't have like thought of. But those 45 minutes are really, I think, crucial to how your paper is going to go because I mean that's the time that you can just sort of compose yourself because I mean everybody would have studied, but what really matters is those 2 hours how you perform. So for me, I think those 45 minutes I was just really hyper. I was fidgeting a lot. I was like, okay, well, how's this going to go? And then we had AILET just a week later, so I had like a lot of things on my plate, and I had my school prelims. So all of these things, I was really hyper at that moment. But I think this the minute the exam began, I was like, okay, like these 2 hours just on this whatever there's 21 sheets of paper I just have to focus on, and then after that I can just worry about whatever result is there. So I think that's the most important thing, that you can stress about it all you want. Like the minute 2 p.m. hits, you just kind of have to focus on that. So yeah, that was.
And Diya, can you tell me if you remember the exact chronology? Which section did you attempt the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth in the paper?
Yeah, so for maths, I have this habit that if it's a data set, I kind of prepare a table and then I solve the questions. So the
Right.
moment I opened maths, I was just really happy. I was like, okay, I know this. So I
Hmm.
just made the data set really quickly. I didn't attempt any of the questions. I just made the table for both. And then I moved on to GK. I was actually planning to do GK towards the end, but then it just opened by mistake. I was planning to open legal, but it just opened by mistake GK. And I was like, wait, this is so easy. I know like 80% of this. So I was just
Right.
like, let me just attempt this really quickly so I can get these marks. And then
Right.
after that, I did legal. Then I went back to math. Then I did logic and English.
And do you feel, Diya, that the chronology, if you decide, suppose sitting in the morning, I decide I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. And then during the paper, if my chronology changes, does that affect? I mean, is it okay to change the strategy that you have been having so far?
So when I thought how I'm gonna attempt this paper, I had a completely different strategy in mind. The order was completely flipped once I opened the paper, and that's okay because I feel like I'm able to adapt well to situations. So for me, it was easy to kind of adapt and be like, okay, this is what it is. I have to make the most of the easy sections and leave the tough sections for the end. But then some
Right.
people have another mentality that let me just cover the tough sections and easy sections will manage themselves. So it
So I
just
believe it
boils
depends
down
upon
to,
person to person.
yeah, it just boils down to how different you are as people.
Right. And both of you mentioned that, you found the paper to be of a certain difficulty level. Now, assuming that this year GK was easy and next year it may be a bit difficult. So, how do you, suggest the future aspirants? What should they do in order to be fully equipped with GK, Rajvini?
I think, I mean, GK is never really a general knowledge. I think it was easy for most people because they have been through just so many tough sets of GK that this seemed just like, okay,
Mm.
why are they asking this to us? Because like I have seen questions, I was like, I didn't even know that this was a thing. There were so many questions about like world this day, international this day, and these are things that like when you see in the paper, you come across the fact that this is a thing that exists. So I think no matter the difficulty or I mean, how easy it is. What it really boils down to is how much GK you have been through. It's, I mean, as quantity as well as quality. So, how in depth you have gone through, because that is I mean, like, I know a lot of the GK that came, I might not have studied it like specifically, but I had an idea of the situation that's happening. So, and even in not even that like exact incident, just how things are going around in the world, and you can sort of guess through that and like how it occurs and how it goes on. So I think that's really important is just going through a bulk of GK, not only because we have like a set syllabus in school and we are used to that for like 10, 11 years to go through a set syllabus. But once you're kind of faced with such vast amount of just information on the internet, it's really important to like have a list of the most important topics that you have to go through. And even on that day, I mean, I was revising GK to the last minute. It didn't
How
really
did
help.
you
I mean, none of
arrive
them
at
really was there.
You mentioned about a list of important topics. How did you arrive at it?
I think there was, I mean, 2023 in a way for us was easy because there were a lot of big things that were happening. Like there were very clearly big events that were happening, which did come about in the paper, the G20, and a lot of like current affairs. But other than that, even Newscanvass gave us like those coded lists, which was really easy because I remember like 2, 3 days before the exam, that's all I was doing. Like only the red coded list is what I was going through because like you can't really learn new information at that point. You just have to revise. So, I mean, that's my only thing is, I mean, my only tip would be to go through so much that every kind of difficulty, whatever, no matter the difficulty, it becomes easy for you. And also to keep in mind that you don't need to like attempt all of it. Like however easy it was and however difficult it is, you can get a 10 in GK and that might be good for your paper that year. While like I mean this year it obviously wasn't enough. But depending upon how the paper goes, you just have to kind of be smart about it overall, not be like not take it on your ego, like, oh, I should be knowing this. I've learned so much. Which I know a lot of people were frustrated after the paper because they were like, we did so much and they were asking us what G20 is, like and stuff like that, and who is hosting G20 2024. So, I mean, you just have to see as it goes. As I mean, and Diya also said, you just have to adapt. And in those 2 hours, just adapt and move as the paper goes. So, yeah.
Now let's come to Diya. Diya, just tell me one thing. For a student who wishes to start doing the whole CLAT syllabi from January or February or early months, what do you suggest? Is self-study the only possible way, or you need multiple sources? How is it like?
So one thing that I learned in GK, possibly late, but it's really easy. Like she said, we went from a set syllabus to a lot, like a sea of information on the internet. So it's really easy to get overwhelmed by seeing all those different sources. So one thing that I would suggest definitely is find the 2, 3 things that kind of work for you and stick to that because GK is something you cannot predict. Like no matter how intelligent you think you are, you cannot predict that. So you just have to keep faith and be like, okay, I've studied this. This is what I think will come. Because if you don't know it, there's a very high chance the person next to you also doesn't know it. So you
Right.
just have to be confident and have that faith in yourself that, okay, I have studied, I have done the best that I could, I'm not got overwhelmed.
What about
And
other
it's
sections? Which
very,
sources do you suggest for other sections?
so for the other sections, I just did mocks.
Okay.
I have attended every single mock of CL. I was like, that's one thing I'm not going to compromise on. And for me, the last 2 weeks, I did not touch the reading sections or math. I did not practice that at all.
Okay.
Like, I did not solve any passage because I feel like that would stress me out. If I got something wrong, then that just makes me so hyper for me, because that if I get wrong things, it just stresses me out. So I was just like, good, I'm not gonna stop reading. So for GK, I used to pick up any random thing on Newscanvass or on Manthan, like to open any random Manthan, and I just used to start reading. So that
Hmm.
really helped me. My speed was amazing in during the
Right.
paper. So that is
Right.
one thing
Right.
that I would pick up.
So
Just
since
to
you
be
attempted almost every mock, not almost every mock, so how did you
hmm,
analyze a mock?
after every mock, I would say first I would so you get the answer key back, right? And then they
Yes.
give explanations for every single answer. So for the reading sections, I would just read like, okay, this is the correct answer. That is also important to know why the correct answer is what it is, but also why
Um,
your answer is wrong. So you
yes.
you have to nip it in the bud. So at that point only you have to understand that, okay, I'm thinking in this manner and that's not working out for me. I need to stop and think the other way. Because no matter
Hmm.
how convinced you are that you are right, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So Nabi, and for GK, they will give a topic on a passage. So obviously, out of those 5 questions, they're not going to cover the whole topic. So for GK, whatever topic they have mentioned in the mock, just go back and quickly do like a 50, 100 word summary on what it is. Not more than that, because then you don't remember more than that, honestly. That should be more than enough. I mean,
Right.
that's what
I
I would
believe
say.
the strategies that both of you suggested are going to really help the future aspirants. And now it's a party and celebration time for you. So let me not take much of your time. But the only thing I wish to say is thank you so very much for joining this call, firstly. Secondly, I am so proud because you are my students, but it'll really help the future aspirants whenever they watch these interviews, you people speaking on the journey, they'll feel motivated and really wish to embark this journey soon and be like you. So thank you for being their role models, and may you always be happy. Stay in touch. Bye bye. God bless.
Hi,
Thank
ma'am.
you,
Thank you so
Rajvini.
much.
Bye bye.
Take care.